Welcome, Brian. Welcome to our conversation. This is Life Canvas. This is where we talk about life matters. We discuss sharing the opinions of what you feel is all about life. You find out that life is full of so many things, and in life, you need people. You need people to survive, and you need people to live. And that is called the power of association and the power of socialing. You need people to social together.
I think the last conversation we had with that quote means no man is
An island. Actually, no man is an islander. And in that case, you say that we have got a way in which we interact with each other.
Yes.
And this brings the other social aspects of life, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, during the old periods, there were ways. For example, in Africa, mainly in Africa, there were ways in which people were living. There was some various actions which people were taking in the society. You find that there was several culture.
Yes, there are, I think culture defines the way of life.
It defines the way of life.
Yes. Which now I think it translates to lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, cultures are different. Where I come from, where you come from, where people come from.
Yes.
I believe, especially in Africa, I believe there are certain aspects of culture we share.
Yeah.
The others we don't. Yeah. So in a general way, culture, I would say, is just the way of life.
So it determines how people live.
Yes. It gives out procedures of doing things. Gives out. I think lifestyle comes from culture. Yeah. But nowadays, I think people have eroded the culture part of it and took the lifestyle. In that whatever they do is their lifestyle.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So you can determine your own culture.
Yeah, nowadays by the way you can people determine
their own culture.
Their way of
But
life.
now, when you say that there is a way in which I live, there is a way in which somebody else live, the way you live, you find out that people lives differently. Yeah. So when we have different people from different parts with different certain aspects or perception of life, they mingle together. That is now what we call the intercultural mingling. Does culture help, especially now in the African context? If we draw it down maybe to Kenya, the tribal line.
I think it helps in a way, especially the part that you said intermingling. Well, I believe way back people used to interact a lot.
Sure.
But they used to interact during, I think, festivals and festivities.
Festivals, celebrations.
Yeah, maybe even mourning. People used to interact a lot. So I believe what usually happened is, I think one tribe or one community will try to maybe to bend some of their rules so that
to allow the rest also.
Because if I believe it, maybe I visit your place and maybe you're from a different community. I believe there's some certain rules that I won't abide to because I'm not aware. I don't know the procedures
of how they are being carried out.
So and if you are a man from that community, obviously you'll have to. There's no exception. You'll have to abide by those procedures, processes, and rules. But if I'm not, I believe they usually bend. They allow some bending so as to
accommodate each and every person from far and wide.
But again, I believe even if you stay there for certain times or for a longer period and you want to step up there permanently, I believe you're being taught everything, you're being taken through the whole cultural process. Then at the end, you'll have to abide now at the rules fully as one of
the rules. Does the rules which are defined affecting the cultural activity? I think yes, because we had got we call it the cultural heritage, whereby there were some certain rights, cultural rights, which were being passed to the next generation. But you realize that these cultural practices, they had got several advantages, right?
Yes.
What were some of the advantages, if you can?
Me first, I think most of the most common one, I think, preservation of that culture. for
the next generation.
Yeah.
So it was being passed
on to the next
generation.
Yeah, you'll find that it doesn't fade away. Whatever you've been doing, it doesn't fade away in a bit.
But it was not leading to change anyway. Because the situations or the way of doing things were the same throughout.
Yeah.
So in this case, it was not subjected to so many changes.
Yeah, it's not subjected to any changes. Which okay, we believe nowadays change is inevitable. But what I know, maybe what sometimes I've experienced is in case of any change that arose, they will still look for the way to continue passing on that cultural
to include the cultural heritage.
So as to suit, because I believe every day something new has
to happen.
Yeah.
And you see, during those periods when the cultural activities were much more valued, the society was of I don't know, but we had a talk about this of morality. The morality during those periods, I think they were at the higher stage.
And again, I believe also one advantage I'll add on to what culture has, or what the culture has brought up, is the goodwill of helping each other.
The goodwill of helping each other, giving the helping hand.
Yeah, it was there.
There was a lot of love within the society.
It was there.
People loved each other.
Yes.
And that is why even the Africans forefathers fought for the independence, because they were coming from different cultural background, but they still came together with the same mission. Yes, the common goal. Yeah, so it was a good thing. It was a good thing too. But now, Brian, you realize that culture is being eroded, and it is being eroded tremendously. It is moving faster by this, with a lot of information being developed and things coming into being. We have got the Western culture coming in, chipping in. So what do you think about the Westernization of especially maybe the Africa? You will find, let me just give you an instant. Right now, here we are talking normally, but you find out that when now somebody gets out of Kenya, for example, then they tend to go to US. If that person comes back, they will avoid, or they will stop talking like the way they used to talk before. The accent change. Pick up the accent immediately. If they pick the accent of,
they say the language of the nose.
The language. But now when you go to India, for example, so does it mean that actually, I think picking this culture is an individual choice. Is an individual choice.
For me, I think it's the way we embrace things. You know, if I go to the US, because even now, especially in Kenya, there's even a book in Swahili, Ndoto ya America. I think in English, the American dream. We embraced America in a way that it is heaven's gate. It's where land of milk and honey. Whatever you're dreaming of.
The promised land.
Thank you. The promised land. Everything that you're dreaming of.
Yes.
America has everything that you're dreaming of, that you can think of. But now when you think of India,
there is nothing.
We don't have
So does it mean it is the culture, or it is the things which are there? Is the evolving? I don't know how to put this.
But I think the comparison is America and India. I think we embrace America. It's so, and you know, America is so popular. We embrace America so much that even when you go there, you want to do the things they do there. But with India, yes, it's one of the largest countries in the world.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's our first. Is it a first economic world?
No, it is not. It might not be.
Yeah, it's a third world country, I think. Like
yes.
Kenya. So why would you dream of India, and yet there's America to be dreaming of?
So it means there is that narrative of now making the culture, eroding your culture to another person's culture. Because even just the same way I have told you, if you take somebody deep down from the rural area in Kenya, and then you take them to India, they will not adopt that language that much. They will not adopt that accent of India. But now when you take them to the US, the kind of the English will also change. So I think this kind of westernization eroding some of the African culture should also not be the case, according to me.
And also one thing, maybe during when missionaries came, I think it also played a
Oh,
big
it
part.
play a big role.
Yeah,
No.
because a lot of Africans who really pursued Christianity, I think some of them were even taken to the US to study
To
about
study,
the Bible.
yeah, okay.
So people really, and when they come back, they come with goodies, all these things. Even some of these missionaries created schools.
Yeah, yeah.
So people are like, okay, it seems America is
So,
a nice place.
so it means the westernization of the African country came as a result of some of the missionary coming into.
Yes,
into
and
the
also
country.
we should also not forget. Also, the Indians came and built the railway.
Yeah, they built the Red Indians, I think.
So I don't know. I think it's because the way we package America.
Yes.
So the westernization part of it, they've done a lot of westernization.
Yeah.
So apart from the Indians, because I think the Indians they just came with the railway, the job was done.
But they did not want to bring their culture into the practices of the
So
Africans.
I think the few who remained, I want to maybe try to influence some of their cultures here. Because now I think India is the 45th tribe, if I'm not wrong, in Kenya. So for them, they just wanted to settle in their culture here.
And maybe they embrace the culture which they are finding.
Yeah, in Kenya. But with the US, they're trying to bring what they're doing here.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So I think that's played a bigger part in westernization.
But does it have more harm, or how do you see it? According to me, I think so far so good. Eroding the African traditional cultures and activities is not good. And I don't know how some will argue, but if you look at some of the cultural activities, like for example the Maasai. By the way, if you're watching this thing and you are outside Kenya, then when you visit Kenya, you need to see the Maasai culture. It is the best culture ever.
They say
which
it's the only community which preserves
their culture. Yeah. So if you look at the Maasai culture, somebody who will say that culture comes in with a kind of poverty, but I don't agree with that.
What I'm getting from this is sometimes we have to look at things on both ways.
Yes.
There's some cultures which are so good. Some traditions from certain cultures which are good that we need to preserve till today. But there are some which are not. If you look really well and investigate truly, you find what's the need of these practices. So I believe there's some we should preserve. There's some we should just put them off and move on, because yes, culture is so rich. It helps a lot, and we should really keep it. But we should look at what were the practices our forefathers did that were not really helping much. So we should just brush it off. Now, one thing I believe is the circumcision of our dads.
Yes, yeah.
For that one, I believe it's even proven scientifically.
No, but by the moment, I think I might be of a contrary opinion that the circumcision of the ladies or the girls, that is what is referred to as it is called female genital mutilation. If you get the English word, the word mutilate is not a good word.
Okay.
So it was used to make the act look like ugly. It is ugly. But if we go beyond and look at why they were doing it, you see, in most cases, nobody has found the reason as to why it was being done.
Okay.
All the research which have been made are just but to find the negativity, the negativity part of it. Now, maybe a topic for another day, but what I would want to say is that culture reservation and culture practices cannot lead to poverty. That is according to me. For example, if you look at the Maasai community, for example, in Kenya or even in Tanzania, they're the community which have preserved their culture so much.
Yeah.
Now, what they are doing is basically agriculture. Domestic animal rearing. They have got a lot of cows. Okay. They have got big lands and they till their lands. So if the land which they till and the animals which they keep cannot be an asset enough to get them out of poverty, then it means poverty is not as a result of the culture. It is their mindset.
Okay. So how do you explain someone has large tracts of land, has a bigger number of livestock?
Yes.
And they're still unable to keep up with the economic.
You see, the economic that is why I was telling you that the economic, the westernization has made us in mind that when you live in a certain kind, is like being primitive. If you live in some certain structures, like for example, if you look at the Maasai, when we were learning in primary school, we were told the Maasai lives in Manyata. Right? Yes. Yeah, if you look at the Manyata houses, they are very warm. And if you sleep in those houses, you cannot get sick anyhow. You cannot be they say that you are subjected maybe to tough environmental effect like cold and things like that. But the Manyatas Masai were living does not mean that they are poor. This is the life. This is the life which actually they were living, and it was affordable. You will never hear of a Masai who is sleeping angry. If you go to the Masai land, you will hear of these other things, but anger or things like that, or somebody is dying. Then again, it comes to a point whereby people say that it is all about primitivity, naivety, but which I don't think is a question, is something which needs to be relating to culture. So culture.
So maybe that example of the Maasai community, maybe what they need to do is, I don't know, maybe being taught on how to.
Actually, when you bring teaching and all these things, they are all coming from the westernization. Education and all these things came with the missionary. Now, if you look at the traditional cultural practices of maybe Kenyan tribes, there is a way in which they were doing things. There was a way in which a man was taught, and there was a way in which a woman was taught. And maybe this is a deeper discussion, which if you read the history very well, then you will come to the understanding that the cultural practices were not that bad. And these people were growing very strong. Do you know they were not even becoming sick?
Yeah, for sure.
This medicine.
Most sicknesses nowadays are because of our lifestyle.
The westernization. That's what I'm saying. Eroding of the cultures and the practices. There were herbalists, and they used to treat these diseases using the what? The herbs, the natural herbs. There were not chemicals being added. So that is the good part of the culture. I remember my grandmother at sometimes back when we were growing, if you had a wound, they will not take you to the hospital. She will take herbs. Yeah, some herbs, lantana camara and some things they chew, then smear it on that
wound, and
you get well.
What do you think about education now, especially in terms of how does it affect, especially the traditional part of culture?
It has really eroded the culture. It has completely eroded the culture.
What if we include the traditional aspects, life of culture, into the modern day education?
Even if we include it to the modern day education, it will still, because all the education which is being education style, or the education, how should I call this education system, which is currently practiced in Kenya, is all Western.
Yeah, basically, by the way, the modern day education, it is westernized already.
And remember, this kind of education is what is killing even the creativity. That maybe will be a topic for another day. Okay. But what I'm saying is that the cultural practices should not be eroded. And my take is that we should always ensure that we carry our cultural practices, which are basically of importance to the next generation, so that we do not erode all these things. Maybe, Brian, as we come to an end, what is your final take?
Because the topic of culture is quite it's a sensitive one. For me, I would advocate for I think it's we, maybe our parents, who ignored the cultural part of it, especially the traditional practices, and encouraged modernism. In that modernism has a lot of free will of doing anything the way you want. It's not confided. It's not in a bracket of how culture should be done. So I would advocate that culture should be treated as an important thing, and even embodied in our education process, starting from even to university level, by the way, because it will help us to remember, or even just to acclimatize into the cultural aspect of it, what our forefathers did in the past and what we really need to carry moving on forward. Because modernism has really brought a lot of rebellious acts from current generation.
Okay, that's very good. Now, thank you very much, guys. I just want to say that culture are practices which are very good, which can be carried from one generation to another generation, and it should be able to affect us positively. What is your take about this? If you feel that there is a way in which culture makes some of the things do not work well, or if you feel that there is something which needs to be done to make the culture much more impactful to the society right now, then you need to give us in the comment. My name is Joseph Ayoma, and with me is
Brian. See you
and
on the next one.
thank you very much.